is not my best woodworking project ever, but basically what I did, this didn't match up in width. The pieces that I used, the wood that I used, I didn't plane it or anything. I didn't see any need considering the purpose I was using this for. But anyway, you can see there I fastened in the bar. I put a little strip of wood in the groove here for the end of this, the crossbar to sit on. See that? Alright, those will work. See, all of these work individually. See? Okay, so what happens is this is going to go up over the trap door on the wall of the pigeon loft. The pigeons are going to fly down. There'll be a landing board here, or in my case I've got a small little flat cage, not a flat cage, but it's an enclosure with chicken wire and what have you that I open up when the birds are out, and it's there because if I choose to, I can set this to where these will stay open and the birds can fly in and out into the flat cage if I choose not to let them fly free. Like I said, I just cut a 45-degree angle here and tried to match them up, but since you can see here varying widths of the material I was using, and for some reason my gun didn't sink those brads down in good, but it's nothing a hammer won't fix. But I've got that all fixed up. I've got the strip. Basically, in essence, this could be used exactly the way it is now, with one little problem. One is I want a way to make this so that I can open all of these up together and keep them open before I hang it up. If I go ahead and hang it up in the loft, it's going to be very difficult to do the rest of the stuff I want to do to this. So I want to get it all like just exactly like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a deal right up here somewhere that's going to help, that I can rotate, and it's going to lay underneath the bob, and I'm going to make it to where when I rotate it, it's going to raise that up, and it's going to hold all of the bobs wide open. It'll hold them all up here, and then the birds can actually fly out here and they can come in here. Now right now, see, that's what I've been doing, is when I let my pigeons out, there's no trap. So when I open up the little cage that's on the outside of the loft opening, they can come and go at will. Well, that makes it difficult to train them to come in when you want them to, because they get a mind of their own, and even though you go through all the motions of training them and what have you, they kind of get a mind of their own if you don't have everything set up to where you can control them as much as possible, and things just don't work out. Another thing that I want to do is I also want to have something down here on the bottom that I can put in place to lock these down. And once these are all locked down, naturally, I understand it's just a bamboo dowel, or I don't even know that it's bamboo. Actually, I think this is poplar. I'm not sure. Anyway, and it could be broke or chewed through if something wanted in bad enough. Okay, well, that's the same way with, it don't matter how many locks you put on your house. If a thief wants to get in and steal something, they're going to find a way in. The idea is to just try to make it as difficult for them as possible, and sometimes they'll give up before they get the job done. So that's what we're doing here, okay? And besides, like I said, I've got the cage on the outside, and it's going to stay there, and it's going to be closed up at night. So, that's an added precaution there as far as keeping predators out of the loft, okay? So I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to work on something to, first of all, lock these in the open position. Then I'm going to work on something that'll lock them in the closed position. And I don't know exactly at this time how I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on that, and when I get something established or get something put together, however complex or simple it may be, I'll come back and show you what I did. Okay, so we'll get back with you in a bit. Okay folks, here we are back here. Just wanted to give you an update here in the video, show you what we come up with. What I decided was that being this trap is going to have, it has got that little apiary like cage, small little flat cage or whatever you want to call it, on the outside of the loft opening. I decided that I didn't really need a real strong latch, just something to hold them down, just in case a cat was to get up there and get too curious during the day when the apiary was opened up. The problem is, if that happens during the day, chances are the pigeons aren't going to be in there. They've probably been released, and they may or may not be in the loft. So I don't know. This is not going to really make as much difference as what I thought it was, but here's what I come up with. Okay, what I did was, and if you're on a homestead, even a small one like ours, probably don't have any shortage of baling wire. You get it free, a couple of good sized pieces free with every bale. If you're buying hay. So what I did was I took a piece of baling wire and I put it in my drill. Took the two loose ends and I put them together in my drill, and I chucked them in there tight as I could get. Now naturally this had a loop on the end. I ran a screw into something sideways. I took this piece of wire, you just have to imagine, okay, I took this piece of wire and I hooked it over that screw, and I just hit the button. And what I did was I did this to make the wire strong. So what this is this is twisted baling wire. And I just kept on and kept on and kept on until it got small enough and strong enough. And the little loop on the end was small enough that it wouldn't slip off of the screw, okay? And then what I did was I cut that piece. See, this was a big long piece. And I cut that piece. That's what ended up being this latch. And that same screw that I used, I ended up putting right in there. And see, that won't slip off of there. I didn't put it tight, okay? It's not tightened down completely. Because when this is taken off, I don't want a whole lot of bend and flex going on in this wire because it'll eventually break. But here you can see, okay, those are locked down. See, no big deal. Like I say, if a big coon or something like that wanted in there bad enough, he's gonna get in. But with that apiary being closed at night, that's on the outside of this opening, the way it's made with the part that the door that opens, it raises up. And it's at a slant right on the top. And in order for a coon to get up there on it, he's gonna have to stand on the door. So he's not gonna raise that door up, okay? Coons are smart, but he's not gonna raise that door up while he's standing on it. And the only other way he can open that up is if he was to somehow hang on the side of the apiary cage and stick his nose up in under the door and maybe find some way to crawl in under there. Now, I'm not saying a coon couldn't figure that out, but it's a long shot, and I'm gonna go with the odds. You probably notice I don't have anything on here to hold this open. Well, what I've decided was, at least for the time being, just for training purposes, we're going to start, when we let our pigeons out in the morning, we're going to start putting them in a cage. And even if we just carry them 300 feet out here to the road or whatever and release them, let them fly around, that's the way they're going to leave the loft. At least for now. There's nothing saying I can't go back and change this later, okay? Because what I'll do is I'll make something similar to this using that same twisted wire, and I'll make it with bends in it to where it goes underneath here, and it'll come and fasten up here, and then I'll rotate the whole thing, and it'll go, it'll go all the way across. It'll be hinged right here on the sides, and then I'll rotate the whole thing, and it'll raise it up. Now, I don't want to go to all that trouble right now. One, I don't need it, and two, I don't know that I'll ever need it. What I'm talking about doing might just work, because we're going to start putting our pigeons, when they go out for the day or for their flight, like in the morning at feeding time, they're going to go into a cage and we're going to take them out here somewhere. Now, if as time goes by, we're not just going to bring them out here in the yard. We're going to take them farther away from the home, away from the house. But that takes time, and what have you. I mean, the birds that I've got, they're pretty well settled to this loft, but they've not ever had to trap in before. So we'll see how that works later on. Anyway, that's what I came up with. All right, that's going to fasten to my opening on the inside of my loft wall where there's already an opening cut that this will fit over. And the pigeons will just fly down into that open apiary cage, and they'll be able to, this right here, when we release the pigeons outside of the loft, this right here just hooks over that little screw and it'll hang down right like that. Ain't going to bother nobody. But now, pigeons can come in here, push these in, and fly down into the loft just like they always do. Now these are a little bit long. I think I'm going to trim them off a little bit before I put that up, before I hang this up in the loft. I'll get this hung up in the loft, and then I don't know how good the light is out in the loft. There's not a lot of light out there. I need to get some windows put in there or paint the walls white or something. They're just old dark barn wood. They've not ever had any paint on them on the inside of the building, I don't think. So good white paint might help brighten it up in there. We'll see about that maybe in the future. But for the time being, I don't know how good the video will show up. I'll try to shoot a video once I get this up and see if I can get some birds out into the flat cage with the door closed. That way they don't have any choice but to go through the trap to get back into the loft. They can't fly away, in other words. And might try to shoot some video of that happening just to show you, that working. But I'm sure you can, you can just picture it in your mind, just how that's going to work. It's not rocket science or anything. So anyway, we're going to cut it off for now. Just going to show you what we had so far, and thanks for watching.